It's no secret that we love our Arabian horses and those that have come into our lives as a result. From the everyday amateur to the professional trainer, AHT Talks is here to chat about the latest happenings, get to know some of our favorite individuals, and answer some of the questions we're all eager to know. Now, here's our host, Laura Ames.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Take two.
Thanks to Stu Vesty for joining us on the podcast today. I think everybody in the Arabian industry knows Stuart for a variety. If you haven't seen him as a photographer, you've seen him in the show ring, you've seen him in the stands. So I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Radon Arabians, Cedar Ridge Arabians, Vittorio and Oak Ridge Arabians, and Coltrane and Conway Arabians, and a special thanks to C. Jarvis Insurance as well. So Stu, let's get started, and why don't you tell us just a little bit how you got into, you were introduced to the Arabian horse.
Well, it happened way before I can remember. So my mom, she rode saddlebreds when she was a kid. So she's an only child, and that's what her folks did for her. They had a big farm. She had one saddlebred named Moonmaster that she showed as a kid. And then when she got married, went off to school, whatever, got married, had kids, the horse showing thing kind of stopped. So she wanted to start it back up after she had me. I'm the youngest of four. So she wanted to get back into the horses, and Grandpa was fine with that. So, we had ponies and we had work horses on the farm and stuff like that. And then we got a half Arabian mare. Her name, we called her Sassy. Her name was Duel Duchess. And then shortly thereafter, got an Arabian gelding named Amir Sahib. And then it just kind of went from there. But, the nice little gray gelding that the four of us showed, at little 4-H shows and every weekend, and 17 classes a day and all that kind of stuff. It was fun.
Awesome. Now your brother, he's also involved in the industry as well, correct?
Yeah, Clark is a trainer. He lives in LaGrange, Kentucky, and he's been into the Arabians. He's been into the Dutch harness horses. He was super big in the National Show Horse. Now he got his trainer's license, and he's thoroughbred racehorse trainer and breeder now. So he's doing a little bit of that. So he's a true horseman. He, all the disciplines, he's good at them, and right now he's doing the thoroughbred racehorse thing. Sweet.
So when did you know? So obviously you make your profession in the Arabian industry, or I shouldn't say in just the Arabian industry, in the equine industry, taking photos of horses. And how did that come about?
Well, okay. So since grew up around the horses, right? So Clark had been, he's 4 years older than me. So when he got out of high school, even when he was in high school, he was doing some training. And I would, we'd go to the horse shows and I'd help him and stuff. And my two older brothers, they kind of got out of it as soon as they could and went on to other things. So Clark stayed in it, and I was the little brother. So I always got, the second or third string kind of stuff to do and show and work with and whatever. And I kind of thought that was the way it's going to be for ever, and always because, the back seat and stuff. And that was, that was okay, but I didn't, I don't know that I had the patience to be a horse trainer. So I dabbled with it a little bit, but I knew that I wanted to stay in the horses somehow. It was always fun. I'm like, I'm never going to miss a horse show. It's just like the greatest thing growing up. You had to be at one every weekend, and that was just the way it was. So I basically decided that I would get into the photography end of it, not compete against my brother and everybody else in the training part. And I figured that way I could have a barn full of national champions, and I wouldn't have to work real hard at it, because I could just go photograph some nice horses, and then they could all be mine, and there was immediate gratification rather than delayed gratification. So that's kind of how I got into the photography part.
Awesome. I remember, so I don't know if this was your first job or not, but you worked for Midwest, right? And when they had, was it the Midwest? How'd they label that? I don't even remember.
Design. Yeah, Midwest Design. It was that was right out of college, basically. I had gone to school for photography at the Rochester Institute of Technology. I did 2 years of that. My professor said, what are you going to do in your third year? You're going to be a fashion or photojournalist or whatever. And I'm like, I'm going to photograph horses. And he said, if you think you can photograph horses and make a living, you better think again. And that was basically all I needed to, just go off and do it, just prove him wrong. So Clark was working at Midwest at the time, and I kind of flew out to one of the horse shows to see him and help him out a little bit after school. And after I got out of my second year of college, and I basically didn't go home for a couple of years. So stayed out there, was kind of a glorified groom, got to, worked at Midwest grooming and presenting some nice horses, Love Potion, that era. And that was really fun. And then, got into, decided I was going to take pictures because that's what I wanted to do. So I started out with some of the very finest, Padron horses like that I got to work with right away. And we developed a company with David and Bob and Diana Dewar called Midwest Design, and we did that for a couple of years, and then I just decided it was time to kind of go out on my own. So left there and just started doing it.
Here you are today. So then did you went out on your own right after that, or was there anybody else involved, or was it clearly just Stuart Vesty photography then?
No, it was, it took a little while to kind of get a clientele. So I went off and got not a real job. I don't know that I've ever had a real job. But I went, I believe right away, moved to Florida, got a job kind of managing a small horse farm there, so gave me a place to live, gave me a few horses to, to work and things like that, just to be around some stuff. And then on weekends, I'd try to get a local person to, have me come and photograph their horse. So then it became, as I was working at this place for about, 8 months or whatever, I was making a little more money and having a lot more fun on the weekends taking pictures. So I decided to just, go out and see if I could swing that full time. And that was in 1987 when I decided to just dive into it.
Into it.
Yeah.
So through that process, was there someone that you really looked up to as a photographer that you admired? Maybe they've never known that.
So it was crazy because in the Arabian business anyway, there weren't really too many, photographers. There were a half a dozen, that everybody kind of knew, and that were national quality. So we collected all the magazines and stuff, and I'd look through, and Jerry Sparagowski was a big influence to me. He made horses, he just made them all look perfect. They just, they stood perfectly. Everything was, Johnny Johnson, obviously, I think he kind of started all of it with the stand-up shots and stuff like that. But I liked Jerry's work just a little bit more. And then when Scott Trees came onto the scene, he added like the art quality to it. So I wanted to go kind of a little, touch on both those and be a little bit of Jerry, a little bit of Scott, and that was kind of the deal. And so, it was, I don't know, I was still kind of a kid. I think even before I even went off to school to be a photographer, to at least learn, I sent a letter to Jerry and was like, what kind of camera do you use? And, all that stuff. And he sent me a letter back, and he was super cool about it. I don't know if we've ever talked about that, but those guys were big, and obviously Johnny and Polly Knoll and Judith and a few others. They were all out there doing it, and basically, like I wanted to do what they were doing. So
now you've always pretty much had a focus more. I know you dabbled in horse shows a little bit, but your primary focus is going to farms. Taking, I guess, somebody hires you to come to their farm, take their show string, take their I know you come to see your ridge and take the baby photos. So can you explain why you went that route versus going the horse show route?
Well, I did Buckeye for several years, and that was, that was cool. But it was the days of film, when I started doing that. And so there was just a lot of work involved. There's always a lot of work involved. Excuse me. But I didn't really enjoy the repetitiveness of it. It was like more work than fun for me. And I like kind of a little bit of the unknown, and I like to get a little bit scared and then try to, bail myself out of it. So get into a lot of those situations at a farm where, it's like the circumstances aren't perfect and everything, but you try to make the best of a bad situation. And that's worked out, well for me on occasion. So it was just the horse shows were a little stale for me, and so when I did go to the horse shows in way back when, I used to shoot over the rail when you could, when nobody cared. And so I really enjoyed that because it was a different perspective, and it was more what what I was seeing and what the other spectators were seeing. And I kind of liked that look better. And so I did that for a while, and then, and then it got to be kind of, now everybody's a photographer. So it's, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, the center ring stuff didn't thrill me.
Wasn't. Yeah. Well, I have to say, one of my favorite photos that you ever took of one of our horses was in the show arena. And I don't know, we probably talked about it, but it would be with Matoy with the American flag, and it happens to be where his ears are like back, but the flag is waving, and it really is. I mean, it was just a super artsy photo in the show arena, I must say.
Yeah, so, thanks. I know that you love that one, and I do too as well. And it's funny because I've been seeing a few videos lately that are popping up on Facebook and around, and Matoy's in there, and it's that moment when Chris was riding him around the arena and, presenting the flag, and it still brings back some emotion.
Yeah, no, it was for me, like, I think of moments in my life in the horse business that tops probably right up there with the best of them. So let's talk about, because some photographers maybe specialize in doing more of the halter or breeding horses, or some specialize in performance horses. You do both, and you do both well. So would you share with everyone, like, how you prepare? Do you prepare differently for breeding or, in hand shoot versus you do a performance shot?
I got to be completely honest. I don't do a lot of preparation. So since I'm there just for a short amount of time, and I don't necessarily know these horses very well, I kind of give a good portion of what we're going to do. I put that on the trainers and the handlers to let me know, what do you think? Where would your horse be comfortable, in either performance or halter? Like, I might have some ideas. Let's go out, as close to that cliff as we can get, and and see what happens. But that doesn't necessarily lend itself for the best situation. The horse has to be comfortable, right? So that's, you try not to go someplace too new, that, for either under saddle or in hand. You try to, you try to make a horse, I try to capture a horse at their best, and when they're at their best, they're usually comfortable. So you try to get, put them in a situation where they don't feel like something necessarily bad's going to happen to them or whatever. And then they can put on their best face. So
yeah. So let's talk about, is there one photo that you've took that maybe stands out? Because you've been all over the world. Some people, they focus in America, or if they're in Europe or the Middle East, but you've been everywhere. So is there one photo that stands out to you that you've took that's above the rest?
That is it's about impossible to say. I don't know. There's just a ton that I love, and a lot of the ones I love nobody's ever seen. because they don't necessarily make that breeding stallion look as, its very best or whatever. So some of those things that are that don't necessarily get purchased and used and advertised with, I like them a little more sometimes. They're, as far as ones that people know, I'm really proud of the one, and it's the one of El Ghazi where he's looking right at me. He's trotting by in his main line and he's just looking right at the camera. I love that. It was an iconic. It was like his signature picture, and he was a favorite horse of mine, anyways. So it was when I just moved to Kentucky in like 1990. So it was really pretty early in my career. I photographed him at LASMA, and I liked that picture a lot because it was, he didn't live too, LASMA was right down the road, 20 minutes down the road. And so I got to photograph a few nice horses there. And so he was one of them, and it was raining that morning, and it was, just sprinkling and stuff. And so it wasn't the ideal conditions, but the horse put on a great show, and it just, it meant a lot to me that I was like this kind of nobody, and I got that picture, and it was, it meant a lot to me. Since then there's just been, a bunch, but it's, it's the crash and burns. It's Tom Moore coming off that horse.
I was gonna say, I think we've had some blooper moments like those.
Those are the ones I love. I got one of Leah Beth when she was at Christian. That's pretty outstanding, where she's in a real scary situation. So yeah, and I might let's talk about this now. I think I might have mentioned it to you at one point, but to raise money for the Horsemen's Distress Fund, I want to do a Horseman in Distress calendar, where everybody that we know is kind of in a situation where they probably, luckily they came out okay, but it does show how scary the Arabian or the horse training world is, and I think it would be pretty cool. I mean, some, they've got the ones out there, the glamour shot calendars of the guys, and and their speedos and stuff.
I would enjoy that. Okay, let's talk about Poland, because obviously that was something that was very near and dear to your heart. You went there for I don't know how many years, but you always seemed to be the photographer for the Polish auction sale, and captured some amazing moments. What made going to Poland for you so special and so unique? Because obviously I've been there, and I think until you've ever been there, it's hard for somebody to envision what it really is. What made that so special for you to go do that? Because you usually go for a few weeks, right?
Yeah, well, I would go in May. I did it for like 19 years. And then that's when it was going to be 20 and 21 and whatever. And then that's when they changed all the directors. They fired the directors of the three main stud farms. So that all changed. But for the time that I was there, it was I would go for 2 weeks in May, and then we would photograph all the auction horses. So there'd be maybe 25 or whatever. So we would photograph them at the three different main stud farms, and then they started offering it to the private breeders as well. So I'd travel, for half a day. I'd go to a private breeder's farm to do one horse or whatever. So it was a lot of traveling and around the country and stuff, and it was really fun, and very hard work, long days. The horses the thing that's really kind of the best part and the worst part about that is the setting is so iconic, and the architecture and the whole breeding philosophy is amazing, and all those horses are really herd oriented. They're really family oriented, and they love each other. I mean, like those horses really, really love each other. And so when you would take one of them away to have its photograph taken, they didn't like that. They wanted to go back with their buddies, and a lot of those situations became very difficult, because you want them to look a certain way, but they're behind them and screaming and wanting to be kind of back with their friends. Or sometimes I wouldn't even know that they may have had a foal back in the stalls, and I didn't know that, because some of the mares didn't care. They were like, "Ooh, good, I can be away from my foal." but then some of them were really clingy and they wanted their babies. And so we'd have to go grab the babies and bring them out. And so that the mares would feel a little more comfortable. So it was challenging to get the right shot for the calendar or for the catalogs. I mean, and then, but so we'd go through every night, we go through what we photographed. And well, I started out in the days of film. So after about 5 days of shooting, we would send that stuff off to the lab. Somebody would come, or we'd meet them on the road on a rainy day, and we'd change hands like it was like this major drug deal. I'd give them a bag full of film, and they'd, two guys would come out in the black trench coats and sunglasses, and they'd take my film, and they'd go, drive it off to Warsaw and get it processed. And so we didn't really know what we got. And then I'd be on to the next farm to do something. And then the last 4 or 5 days or whatever, we go to Warsaw, look through all the contact sheets and see what was worthy of being in the catalog. And then, sit down with the directors and Isabella and whatever, and we'd go through and pick out the right pictures. And then the whole catalog would be done within that 2 weeks. We'd photograph them, we'd, analyze them, go through them, order what needed to be ordered. And then the catalog would be done. Well, at least the choices would be done in the 2 weeks that I was there. So, and then I would go back in August and photograph the auction itself. So it was, it was just awesome. I mean, just the whole philosophy, the breeding concept and the I don't know. Just, it was fun. And all the horses, when I first got there, they were all the 3-year-olds were racing. So I'd go to the nationals and I'd be like, why isn't there a 3-year-old colt class? There's a 2-year-old colt class and a 4 and over. Where are all the 3-year-olds, And then it's like, oh, they're all on the track.
Track, yeah. Okay, let's talk about maybe a certain horse or a certain setting that you maybe never, let's say a horse. Is there a certain horse out there that you've always wanted to take photographs of, but never did it? Or never been invited to the farm or whatever it would be.
Yeah, I got to call out some people that have never had me out. I got to, no. I don't know. I just, I don't look at it that way. What I do enjoy, and I think it drives me, is the other photographers out there that are doing a great job. When I see their work and some of the horses that maybe I haven't photographed, or in the situations that I haven't seen, you can only photograph what you see. So I've been to the desert a few times, but I have, over in the Middle East, but I haven't been there an abundance amount of time, and I haven't seen some of the cool ruins and the things that are around the world that I see horses in front of, so I don't like envy, or I'm not jealous of all that stuff, but it's inspiring to see other photographers work on things that it was kind of like, wow, I wish I had taken that. So it's nothing specifically, but it'd be fun to be put in those situations, because you can't photograph something unless you see it, unless it's there. And I haven't seen a lot of those things. So it's, some of the, just there's so much out there. I want to do it all. Yeah. I just, nothing specifically, just all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to touch on a topic that I know you have voiced opinions about or been involved in discussion.
Yeah.
And we obviously aren't going to go on a long political rant, but I think sometimes, I've been on the side of the fence being in the publication business, that people will say, well, can't you just send me this photo? Or, if you have it, why can't you send it? They don't understand the photo rights. And I try to be respectful on that.
Well,
let's touch on
that's a roundtable thing. I mean, we need to get a lot of the guys in here and, to get a lot of the different opinions. From a legal standpoint, there's some violations going on here and there, and and I won't necessarily get into that there. But so I'm not a giant police of it. I do think that as a photographer, I need to educate my clients, and every photographer needs to educate their clients just a little bit more on what actually their rights are. But I think it's like when if a photo has some value to you, so like I'm the photographer, right? So if I photographed a horse of yours, or or a show ring photographer has photographed your horse, and you go on their website, and you're looking through the stuff, and it's like, don't like it, don't like it, don't like it, don't like it. Ooh, I like it. So when you like something, and you're like, oh, I'm going to put that on Facebook, or I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do with that gives that photo immediate value, right? So if it has value to you, it should have value. That value should reflect to the person that actually, created that. So when it has, so you have the photographers at horse shows, especially, they put them online, and everybody has access to looking at those things. So you pull a picture off and you use it on Facebook. Well, that had value to you, and so you're kind of violating. Well, you're violating that law, or at least the respect aspect of, if it has value to you, you should compensate the person that that created it. Another thing, the show ring photographers, you don't get, horse shows don't pay you, so you have to sell a lot of pictures, and when they're being used and you're not getting any money for it, it makes it very difficult to even get to the break even standpoint. So there's that. Then there's I've been over to Poland, and everybody, they have like little, just like we have, the commercial exhibit area and stuff. And so there'll be artists over there, and they'll say, Mr. Vesty, please come. I want to show you something. And then I go to their booth, and they've got these giant paintings of like a photograph that was in the catalog, from last year. And they want $3,000 for this thing, and it's like, wow. Well, I mean, I
created the setting for you. I took the picture, and now you're going to paint it.
And their talents are certainly incredible. I mean, it's not like a bad painting of my photograph. It's an amazing painting of my photograph. So, I mean, yes, it has value for sure. But, ask permission, give me a cut, I mean, it looks just like the photo. I mean, it's good. You have a huge talent, but there's, a lot of the work, if I hadn't taken it, you wouldn't have been able to paint it and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So it's, there's just, and there's a bunch of different things. But if somebody, and taking, I give you a high res or something, I sell you a high res, and then, and you go to, well, I say Kinko's, whatever, any place that there's no Kinko's anymore. Wherever you would go to get it like blown up into a poster, or, whatever. Somebody's making money off that, and that should trickle down to the guy that created it too. So there's a lot of things there, because it is, once that digital file leaves our hands, the photographer's hands, there's so much that can be done with it, and then that cuts us right out of the loop. And so.
No, it's funny, because Howie and I have this discussion all the time about it, that I would love to do like a round table discussion, because obviously I want to be respectful, you all as being the photographers and taking the photos, but so many times the clients don't understand the point they're putting me in. Why can't you send it there? Or so I'm always like, okay, can we just come up with a flat fee that maybe people would pay, that would be high or low in between? But it's like I become the police of it. It's, you're always the bad person. The other topic I want to talk on is, because you've been recently on both sides of it the last few years. I know you've helped Howie out at US Nationals. Not sure if you helped him out at Scottsdale or not, but I tried to personally at the time buy photos from the show photographer at Youth US Canadian Nationals, because without show photographers, we don't have anything. It's easy to walk around the stands for the hours you want to be there and take the photos. Yet now you've been on the side of it, where you've been on the side where you're set hours you're supposed to be there working for Howie. If you were to give advice to the photographer that doesn't understand why they maybe have to pay the fee of whatever it is, to the media pass fee that goes to the photographer, let's touch base on that. You give your insight on that to maybe a photographer that I want them to hear your opinion on it, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, it's they, like I said before, the show photographers don't get paid, and when and let's go Howie. Let's talk about Howie, because he is kind of the well, he's been photographer of the year so many times in a row lately that everybody loves him. So you got to be nice to the guy, right? So and he's a dear friend of mine, and I really enjoy helping him out at nationals. And then this year at Scottsdale, I paid him $1,000 so that I could photograph over the rail, because I had a couple clients that wanted me to follow them around and do some things. And so it ended up being like, maybe a break even kind of situation for me. I didn't sell a ton. I sold a few things, maybe made a couple bucks, but it's at least it gave Howie that opportunity to get that much closer to breaking even, so the Scottsdale's probably a little bit easier on him financially, because I think because of the travel expenses and stuff for him and his wife and some of the staff, they live right there in Arizona, and it's not like going off to a show and having to rent, get a hotel room. I don't know, maybe he does stay close and he has to have a hotel, but he's, I don't know the specifics, but for him to run a horse show is, there's $100,000, with the 12 employees and all the airfares and all the rental cars and all the, all the hotel accommodations and all the, food and fee. And then, hey, and then you got to pay people to do it too. So there's the day fees that it's expensive. So paying $1,000 to him for the opportunity to photograph what I would like to over the rail, and come and go as I'd like, it doesn't seem like that's that big a deal. I'm in it to, this is my business. So there were times when I wouldn't pay it. And I also had a good excuse where I could just leave my camera, in the trunk of my car and just enjoy the horse show like a spectator should,
Sure.
So those, it was kind of a freeing experience where you're just like, wow, I can't work and I'm enjoying that part of it. So it's a respectful thing. And they're talking, well, I don't want to sell them. I'm not making any money. I'm not doing this because I want to make money. But so that's the whole starving artist thing. If you're putting your name on a picture, then you are being paid through, affirmation. Somebody going, oh, nice picture. I saw you took this picture, so there's payment, sometimes not financial. Sometimes it's just, an ego boost or whatever. But if it's something where you're, where you actually care enough to, show everybody your work, then, you're not going to throw it in a shoebox and look at it 20 years later. If you want to kind of brag about it, then it has some value to you, and it should have some value to Howie or whoever's doing center ring.
Sure. Well, thank you for giving your insight on that. Next, we're going to get into your personal life. You recently got married.
I did.
Would you like to share with us how you two met and how it all came about? Actually,
we were good. I celebrated my first anniversary yesterday, so that was cool. So Rebecca and I have known each other for a long, long time. Her mom, Susan Durr, is the daughter of the Bevan Arabians Durrs or the Bevan Arabians where were they? Started out in Texas, went to California, whatever. Kimfa, all those horses from way back when. So she's been Susan was been in horses her whole life, and her and Rebecca came to Rookers when I've been friends with Rookers for 30 years. So they came and bought a stallion from Rookers 21 years ago, whatever, named Apollodin, and an A. Apollo Basin. And so I was the first guy that ever bred to him. I bred a saddlebred mare to him when he was only 4 years old, I think. So when they bought him, I had a baby on the ground, or soon to be on the ground, and was the only one at the time. So we just got to know each other through horse 20 years ago. And so then, we'd run into each other, Scottsdale and nationals and stuff, just real kind of drive by, hey, how's it going? Tell me about your baby. And, you tell me about the Paladin and whatever. So just like a real generic friendship kind of thing. And just that kind of went on and on and on forever. And then, I don't know, a couple years ago, Rebecca and I just got talking, and she, Scottsdale type of thing, shows over, you go to 92nd Street, shooting pool, whatever. And we just talked a lot. And then I think I said 2 years ago or whatever, I said, so, I noticed that she likes to ski, so I like to ski. I'm like, when are you going to invite me skiing? And then before you knew it, she was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with you, but here, let's go skiing. And so she invited me out, and went skiing, and then kind of snowballed from there. And then we immediately afterwards, I was on my way down to San Ynez to go on a trail ride. And, found out that she spent all of her summers as a kid in San Ynez, because that's where her grandmother was. And so I was like, you want to come down and ride on a trail, go on a little trail ride to a vineyard? And we, and she's like, yeah, of course I want to do that. So that was like our second date. And then we just kind of started, I lived in Michigan and she was out in Washington, and we just kept kind of keeping in touch and finding ways to see each other. And our fourth date was 10 days in Europe, because I was over there, and I had a week of work and then a week off and then another week of work. And I'm like, do I want to fly home or do I want to stay over here? And I don't really want to stay over here alone, because it's, everybody's at horse shows and whatever. And so there's no work to do. And I gave her a call and I was like, hey, do you have any desire to come to Europe for a week or 10 days? And she's like, sure. And so,
Nobody's gonna,
I don't know. I think I wore her down. I don't know. But yeah, we've been, so.
Oh,
It's
that's
all good.
awesome. Yeah. Speaking of that, so you were in the Ohio, Kentucky, Michigan area. Now you obviously reside in, is it Oregon that you reside in?
Washington now. Yeah, right outside
Washington.
of Bellevue. Yeah.
So tell us about the move. Are you liking it on the West Coast?
Yeah. Well, with this whole being lockdown thing, I've seen a lot more of this area than I have in the last year that I've been here. But it's beautiful. It's really pretty. I got a nice view of Lake Washington from my office. We have a pretty nice condo. Not sure how long we'll stay here, but it's pretty amazing. And Mount Rainier is one of the most beautiful sights, and it's sunny today. We tell everybody it rains in the Seattle area, but that's just to keep them away, because there's too many people out here already. But it's it's just really beautiful. I need to be near an airport, to get to my jobs. So I've lived a lot of places, and as long as I can fly out, and Seattle's got a really nice airport. So it's pretty nice out here, and it's where Rebecca grew up. So when I'm on the road, she's still got family around, and her brother, sister-in-law, a couple nephews, her mom and dad are not so far away. So it's nice for her to have them when I'm gone, and then when I'm around, we go out and do some hiking and mountain biking and things like that. Get out and enjoy the mountains and the water and all that. So yeah, it's cool.
Well, sweet. Well, you sort of touched on what you like to do, maybe. Do you have any other hobbies other than, we know we're into photography. We know you like to motorcycle. I see you with your motorcycles. I just saw a picture the other day on Facebook about that. Is there anything else you enjoy doing when you're not working?
Well, the skiing thing is good. I don't have a mountain bike, but there's some amazing trails around here, and it's not like, X game kind of stuff. It's really, fun hiking, terrain, and you happen to be on a bicycle. So, that kind of stuff is fun. Boating. I don't really water ski or do any of that stuff. I like to sit on the boat and go fast or not go fast. It doesn't really matter. But so, yeah, I like to be outside, and that the trail ride thing, I will get a horse at some point out here that is just strictly a a trail riding horse, because the trails are beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful country. Okay, now we're going to discuss the industry as a whole, because you are someone that obviously has a lot of passion about it. You've shown as an amateur in both halter and performance, and you can just genuinely see when you're in the stands. I always remember you telling me you want a horse, you want to own a horse that just wows you. So I guess that tells you have a lot of emotion or love for it.
Yeah.
If you could change one thing about the industry today, and you had a posting the other day on Facebook comparing an arena scenario, so that's what made me think about that question. If you could change one thing about the industry today, what would it be?
Yeah. No, wow. I don't know that I would. I mean, I don't know that there's one thing that you could change, that, because it's everybody's got their, I know you want my opinion on this, because everybody's got a different opinion on, like, I love it the way it is and all that stuff. And I guess I'd like it to be a little more like it was when I was growing up. I'd like there to be I'd like it to be a little more, user friendly, more of an amateur grassrootsy kind of thing. It seems like our goal is, and I don't know, I mean, I know there's plenty of people out there, but because you and I are at that, national level of thought, but that seems to be the goal. Like, the ultimate goal is to go to nationals. And we need to get more people into the lowest level, and and not push that national thing on them. So to get, to have more of that grassroots type of thing, and make it more of a family fun thing. The thing that is happening is, so, like, I'm fully against select riders at nationals. And I know the reasons why it's there, but I don't think we need to have a trophy for everybody that's ever sat on a horse. So the nationals is the nationals. It's the pinnacle of competition. That being said, if we are going to have it at the national level, for select riders, they should be legitimate owners of horses. I mean, if you're going to go in, I'm not a select rider. I've been showing my entire life. I think 75 points is kind of the cutoff, and then you're into a thing called choice or something. I've got like 76 points, so I'm no longer a select, which is fine. But there's people that have this, that are select riders, and they don't have the skin in the game that I have. Like, I breed, and I send my horses out, and I pay trainers, and I do all this kind of stuff. And some of these people, they come and they get ringers. They get to ride like really nice horses that they don't really have to pay for. And it's like, that's not a national level type of mentality to me. I think it should be, I don't know. I think you should be all in at that point. I'm one, but I don't know. Another thing in this industry that I'm adamant about is the whole, you have CRF or CRA at the end of names, you have AIMS in the beginning of names, you have lots of things. I think a breeder designation is a breeder designation. Don't buy a horse and decide you can put yours on there. I'm fully against that one. And I think that somebody needs to, make that happen. I could put V on the end of all my horses' names. I mean, Vesty, it's not varying, but I could do the V, but I don't, because of my respect for Sheila, but there are different initials that are different farm names, and they would be the same initials in two different farm names. That doesn't bother me. That's fine. They are but don't buy a horse and put your initials on there. That's just,
yeah,
that's
I can agree.
bad. Yeah, disrespect.
We need
for
all the
people.
breeders we can get out there, and that's just disrespecting them, I feel. I mean, again, that's my opinion as well with you. Let's talk about, so you have shown and had great success in halter, had great success in the performance arena. Nowadays, we have in America an arena for halter and an arena for performance. How do you feel about that? Do you wish we could all be together? Are you?
Yeah,
make it
it makes it tough. Our horse show, well, the nationals is so long and there's so much going on, and there are classes for everybody. And then when you get into the separate arenas, even the reining thing, can't remember who put it on, maybe Rob Langlois put on that, his favorite class was that reining class with Gary Ferguson and the
when they used to do the freestyle.
Freestyle reining.
Motorcycle.
We don't, so that is, and I get we can't do reining in the main arena because of the footing is different, and it's not the healthiest thing. But I got to tell you what, that was an amazing event. That's just when it's got crowd appeal, you can't beat it. But if we could somehow bring it all back together, but the halter people they're breeding a halter type of horse, and that's fine. But I want to know. I happen to when I'm photographing nationals with Howie. He puts me over in the halter arena while that is going on, and that's great. I'm missing a lot of the performance classes that that my friends are showing in, or that sometimes I'm like, hey Howie, I got a horse in the other arena. Can I take this afternoon off and go over there? And it's it's like, yeah, I like to do that. But it would be nice if somehow there was there are people over there that don't know. That over there, there's people in each arena that have no idea what's going on in the other arena. Don't know the names of the trainers, don't know names of the winners, and some don't care, and that's fine. I do, I do care, and
I'm right with you.
No, and I want to. I think everybody, should. Well, people got to see Perfinka, that was great, but I think everybody should get to see those kind of horses, regardless of what age group they are. When you get to that level, they do need to at least have those championship classes of the halter in with some of the performance, just because we do need to be aware of
together. It's a breed. Let's talk about horses that you feel have made a major impact in the breed, and that could be anywhere in the world. Name 5 horses. Mares, stallions. 5.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know a lot of the Egyptian bloodlines. Obviously the older ones, Rafik Nazir, that type of thing. But though I'm not going to go there because I don't really. That's not my circle. So but obviously. The ones that everybody would imagine, Bosk, Bale Bay. I'm going to go with the Furzon, Azraf, Gainey type of horse. That was just super important. When the breeding, it was awesome when I was growing up, every different part of the country had a different style of Arabian. You kind of could tell where if you'd travel around, which luckily I got to do a little bit when I was younger, horses looked different in California than they did in the Midwest, than they did in the East, than they did in Florida. And it was really kind of interesting. So yes, Kemosabe and Bosk and Bale Bay and Furzon, those kind of are the names that initially came up. And obviously Kemosabe was national champion, the very first nationals I ever went to. So he had it was like, to see him was like, whoa, first national champion stallion it was pretty impressive. So, and I got to actually sit on him when he was 30 years old.
Oh, that's even better. He's just so beautiful in his markings. Yeah. Okay. In ending, I'm going to ask you one horse you could own and why you would want to own that one horse that you don't own.
that I don't own. Well, let's go back to that. The thing about living in Washington that is so amazing is the trails and stuff. And I said I wanted to get a trail horse. So I'm thinking like a big, sexy, Pinto Frisian kind of thing with all this hair. And that's who I would really like. I want to be out on the trail and everybody, what the heck is that? That's what I like. That's what I truly want to own. If we were going to go to a horse in the, that's in our industry and that type of thing, it would just be, I don't know. Maybe I just bred it. It's hard to say. I really like the few that I do own, and I like what the few that I have bred and will continue to breed. I like looking at other people's horses. I don't know that I want to own a stallion again. That's hard to do. It's expensive to do. If you could have the best one out there, but if you can't advertise it correctly and you can't get the right mares to it, then it kind of goes by the wayside. So it's tough to own a stallion for sure. So I don't know. I'll stick with the ones that I'm about to breed and that giant sexy Pinot Frisian thing.
Now, are we going to see you in the show ring at all this? Hopefully, when we get back to showing, are you going to show this year at all?
I don't know about this year. I will get back out there again. I haven't had a horse that I've been able to keep long enough lately that I can show. There's just I need a bigger horse to ride. I could see myself getting back in the buggy and doing some stuff like that, and maybe in the halter ring again. I don't run nearly as fast as I used to, but yeah, I mean, I like being in the show ring, and and there's a chance that Rebecca has been she was national champion as a kid in Canada. She hasn't shown in 10 or 12 years, so it would be nice to see her back in the ring at some point. So yeah, we'll still be out there. I hope it's sooner than later, the way that all this is going on.
Exactly, we all hope sooner. So yeah. Well, thank you. We really appreciate you taking the time today to visit with all of us.
Thank you, Laura. That was awesome. Yeah, just shout out to everybody. Stay safe and stay home, and give my love to Lolly, please, and the rest of your family.
Sure will. She's in Arizona. I'm in Minnesota, but I will. Thank you.
Right on. Take care, Laura. See ya.
Bye.